Hi guys, welcome to session number 23 of Marketing 102. My name is Jankit Khan, and in this video we are going to continue our discussion of distribution channels, and we will study what are the different factors which affect a manufacturer choice when he is selecting the distribution channel. So first and foremost, let's understand what are the factors which are related to a product which a manufacturer considers when he is deciding his logistics. So first and foremost, we have the price of the product. Now, when we talk about the price of the product, if your item is a very low price item, that is, the price of your item, the item wise price is very low. So in that case, the manufacturer does not want to spend a lot in the infrastructure development of his own distribution channel. So he takes the help of the already existing middleman. But if you are selling a high price item, means your products are quite expensive. So therefore, you will find the manufacturer, they usually prefer to sell it either themselves, their own retail outlets, or any authorized representative. Then you have the perishability. Again, items which are perishable in nature. So they require fewer or a lesser amount of middleman. So you will find them being sold through the retail outlets. For example, if you went to any restaurant, you will find that the restaurant, the chain, they themselves are providing you those services. They are not hiring any middleman to provide their food, their beverages to you because these items are perishable. So in order to maintain the quality of the item, the product, the manufacturer or the producer, they prefer to have a shorter distribution channel. But if your products are more durable, then you will find the distribution channel adopted by the manufacturer, they are quite long. Then we have size and weight. Now, going by the logic, you will find that items which are smaller in size and they weigh less, they will be manufacturer of those items will prefer a longer distribution channel because the mobility is simple, the logistic planning is very simple. On the other hand, if the item size is big and they also weigh more, you will find the manufacturer usually prefer to sell them directly. Then we have technical nature. Now, sometimes the product requires some kind of orientation with the customer. That is, the customer needs to be told how to use that product properly. If that is the case, you will find manufacturer usually prefer to sell the product through an authorized representative or they have a shorter distribution channel so that the direct contact with the consumer can be maintained and proper information, correct information can be passed through. But on the other hand, if your product is a very standard nature, that is, you can only provide a small user manual which the consumer can go through and they can use the product, you will find a longer distribution channel. Then you have goods made to order, that is custom orders. If you think logically, goods which are made on custom orders, you will find there is a direct link between the consumer and the manufacturer. So the selling will also happen quite directly. On the other hand, standardized products which are made in bulk, which are not custom made order, they will be sold through a proper distribution or a longer distribution channel. Then you have after sales services. When your product is of such a nature which require very extensive support services to the customer, you will find there are authorized agent involved, there are authorized representative involved of the company. Rather than having the middleman, the company will directly like to deal with the customers. Now, after this, we have factors which are related to the consumer or the market, which affects our distribution channel decision. So, first of all, we have the number of customers. Now, if you have large number of customers, you will require a large middleman base because a single company cannot cater to such large number of customers. On the other hand, if your customer size is small, then the company can afford to have their own distribution channel. Then you have expansion of the customer, that is how spread your customers are. Now again, if you understand this very logically, if your customer base is very wide, that is you have customer almost spread throughout the nation, then again a single company, unless it is very well funded, a single company cannot distribute their products to every customer spread throughout across the country. So you will have to have the services, you will have to get the services of a middleman, wholesalers or retailers. But if your customers are concentrated in a smaller region, in that case, there are some companies who can afford to have a shorter distribution channel. Then you have size of the order. Then bulk orders are handled directly by the producers because sometimes, most or not for the not in fact, bulk orders they come with a time constraint. So if I am giving somebody a bulk order, I am also giving him a time limit. Smaller items or smaller orders, they are very frequently bought. So there is no time constraint in it. So those smaller orders can be easily managed through a wholesaler. Bulk orders, they require a direct involvement of the manufacturer in the logistic process. So therefore, you will find distribution channels are shorter there. That is, there are fewer middlemen involved. Then you have objective of purchase. Now, sometimes your consumer is not he's not buying your goods to consume himself. Whether he is an industrial consumer, that is, he will use your product to manufacture something else. So, in that case, you need to have a direct contact with the consumer, because industrial consumer, they are much more picky and they are much more sensitive about the relationship with the manufacturer. So when you are selling to an industrial consumer, a manufacturer will directly get involved in the logistic process. He will directly deal with the consumer. But if you are selling a consumer good item, for example, if you are selling any fast-moving goods, fast-moving consumer goods, then you will find that a lot of intermediaries are involved, because in that case you are not there is no need for you to be in direct contact with the consumer. Then you have need of the credit facility. Now, when you are selling something to somebody, it may happen that the consumer may not able to pay you on time. When that happens, that is, we are talking about credit sales. So credit sales come with a risk factor. What if the consumer does not pay you? Now, if you are dealing in a product line which requires continuous credit facility, or which require frequent credit facilities, then the manufacturers sometimes do not want to assume that risk. So, in order to spread that risk, or in order to manage that financial risk, the manufacturer will like to involve the wholesalers and the retailers. But if your customers pay upfront in cash, or the credit facility they require is not very frequent, then the manufacturer may assume some risk, and he can sell directly to the consumer. Then we have the factors which are dependent on the middleman. So first and foremost, the services provided by a middleman. Of course, if your middleman is providing you a lot of services, for example, he is providing the services of displaying your product, or he is providing you a services of sales promotion or any advertisement, then obviously it will be added benefit for you to get a middleman involved. But if your middleman is not providing you all such services, then in any way you have to spend on the sales promotion. So you rather prefer to have a shorter distribution channel. Then you have the scope or possibility of quantity of sales. Basically, it depends upon the potential of your sales when you are involving a middleman. Of course, if the company feels that they themselves are capable enough to achieve their target sales, then they won't be involved with a middleman and increase the cost of their product. But if any company feels that involving a middleman will ensure that they can not only achieve their sales target but also surpass that target, that is, the possibility is there that a middleman will help you to sell in a large number of quantity, then of course any company would get involved with the middleman and have that longer middleman chain. Then you have the attitude of the agent, the middleman, toward the producer policy. Now, every producer, every manufacturer want a middleman who is in line with the policies of the producer. If that is the case, then the manufacturer also does not feel any constraint in dealing with the middleman. But if middlemans are not so much aligned with the policies of the producer, in that case, the producer may opt for a shorter distribution channel. That is, they may decide to involve a fewer amount of middleman. Then you have cost of distribution channel. Now it's a very basic rule. The longer the distribution channel, more will be the cost. So if the customer, and at the end of the day, it is the customer who has to bear the cost. So for any manufacturer, it is very important to have the most economical channel. So if a manufacturer feels that involving a long distribution channel or involving a lot of middlemen will unnecessarily increase the cost of the product, which will be ultimately borne by the customer. So any manufacturer will avoid having that longer distribution channel. But if it is within the economical means of the manufacturer, then they will be involving the middleman. Then you have factors which are pertaining to the producers or the company itself. So first and foremost, you have the level of production. Now, when we talk about level of production, basically a firm which is producing in a large amount, that is, manufacturer, they are good, they are strong people, they are financially backed up. So they can also afford to have their own sales representative. That is, they can afford to have their own distribution channel. But a smaller producer who is not producing a lot, they cannot afford to have their own distribution channel. So what they will do? They will get the services of a middleman. Then you have managerial competence and experience. Again, if a manufacturer feels that I have a quality staff and my marketing and my sales department is good enough for me to achieve my target, and my managers have the competency to get the product in the hand of the consumer, so I will not offer a very long distribution channel. But on the other hand, if I'm a new company, I do not have the managerial staff, so I will get more middlemen involved for the distribution purpose. Then I had the financial resource of the company. So a good company, a rich company, a company which is backed up by a lot of funds, they can afford to set up their own distribution channel. They can afford to set up their own retail outlet. They can afford to have their own sales representative, authorized representative, who can directly deal with the consumer. But if your company is a small company, then you have to take the help of the distribution channel. Then after this, there are certain other factors also. So first of all, we have the distribution channel of the competitors. Now, obviously, whenever you are taking a decision about your company, what do you want? You definitely want to look what your competitor is doing. So if in your industry, your competitors have opted for a shorter distribution channel, that is, they can get their product early or quickly in the hands of the consumer, then you would also like to adopt a shorter distribution channel. Then we have a social viewpoint. Now, sometimes the customer feels that they are more satisfied and they are more, you can say they feel more comfortable when they're dealing directly with the manufacturer rather than dealing with a middleman. So in that case, you will find that the manufacturer, they set up a shorter duration, they set up a shorter distribution channel, so that there is a direct linkage with the consumer. On the other hand, if the consumers are fine with dealing with a middleman, that is, they accept the distribution channel of a middleman, then in that case, the manufacturer also feels comfortable in employing a longer distribution channel. Then you have the freedom of altering. That is how easy it is for you to change your middleman. So if a company feels that it is very difficult for them to change a middleman because of some contractual obligation, then they try to avoid a longer chain of middleman. But if the company finds that okay, it is very easy for me to get a new middleman or fire or remove a middleman from the chain of distribution, then the company will easily opt for a bigger chain. Otherwise, if the company feels that it will be tied up in any obligation with the middleman, so they will keep the chain of the middleman shorter. With this, we have completed this topic. I hope you like this video. If you did, please like, share, subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching.